Hello, Dr. Glenn, resident vet for Vet and Pet Direct, talking today about bringing home a new kitten. You will need obviously food bowls, preferably ceramic or steel bowls as opposed to plastic, a clean water bowl which you'll clean water daily into there. Water fountains are obviously a not inexpensive way to go, but kittens and cats like drinking moving water, so increasing water intake can be important for the long-term health of cats, so consider a water fountain if that's within your budget. When you're looking at bringing cats home, having a good, safe, sturdy travel cage is important. You can make that part of their home base at home as well when you're establishing a home base in preferably a single room at home, to expand out to a couple of rooms at home to introduce the cat slowly into the household, having their cage in there with a bed in there, having something nice and soft where you're making it a pleasant experience, because they're probably going to go to the vet in the first couple of weeks that you have them home for vaccination trips, etc. So having the cage as a pleasant place, putting treats in there can really help transition into the household. If you've got a multi-cat household, introducing new kittens to the existing cats can be a little bit of a challenge. I would always recommend, again, establish a home base with food, water, bedding, some places to hide out, a litter tray or two for the new introduction. Cats, they're not silly, they will be able to interact under the doorway. They will know that there's another cat in the household without the confrontation of actually physically being able to swat at them and have fights and that sort of thing. Over time, we've got a collapsible crate at home within our home base area, which at the moment is the bathroom for little Guppy here. And that collapsible crate, then you can then put that in the doorway with the door open, so the other cat in the household, there's still a barrier, but they can interact more after a day or two. And then you can actually transfer that collapsible crate out in the living room area or bedroom areas, so they've still got some separation there, and preferably lock up the existing cat in a room so the new addition can have some time to just get to know the surroundings and get to know the little hidey spots to get away from the other cat potentially. When it comes to enrichment, both toy-based enrichment, where you can physically play and interact with your pets, is a good idea. Cats really like moving objects, so you can have interactive toys where you're playing with them, but also some self-play toys that can help as well. You can also use food as part of your enrichment as well, things like interactive things where you can put treats in or some of their food, where they can spend some time hunting and scavenging for their food as opposed to just eating it out of the bowl, will help as well. Litter trays, court training, a big part of introducing a new cat to the household. Cats really develop a substrate preference at 6 to 8 weeks of age, so that means whatever litter their mother, and in the week or two after they are weaned, they get used to using, tends to be what they prefer. You can change what litter you use over time, but if you're having troubles with litter training, always go back, and my recommendation is to a sand or a clumping style litter. It's closer to what they would like to use in the wild basically. Scented and odour neutralising kitty litters are really for people, they're not for the pets. Heavily scented kitty litters can be a negative for some cats because they've got very sensitive senses of smell obviously. If you're using clumping litters, supposedly you're supposed to look out for that for kittens. Clinically, I'm not really sure if that's valid. We use clumping litter at home at the moment for this little one, and we'll continue to do so. The recycled paper, recycled wood pellets, there's different systems with litter trays that can allow some of the urine to fall through either into pads or into some litter underneath. All those things depends on your household, depends on how you're going to dispose the litter afterwards. If you've got a compost bay or a house yard at home, some of the materials that break down are a good idea to put in the compost. If you're disposing of them in the garbage or down the toilet, just be careful with those litters that you use there. A normal cat behaviour is to scratch their claws on things. If you have got a kitten, they're going to scratch on things. I would recommend having several different offerings as far as cat scratching towers, little mobile things where they can have different angles. Some cats like scratching vertical objects, some cats like scratching horizontal objects, and all cats are different. So once you know what the preferences are, having a couple of different options will help out your cat to have a normal behaviour and also hopefully help save the furniture. Some people like trimming their cat's claws. It's not a very fun procedure sometimes, and I don't routinely encourage it. I mean, they're using claws to climb up on things, and cats like getting vertical advantage, like resting points up high. If you're going to trim your cat's claws, just be mindful of the things that they normally climb on. They may not be able to do that straight away, and trimming their claws, you don't have to do them all at once. You're trying to make it as pleasant a procedure as possible. You can play with their little feet and get them used to their feet being played with, and pushing underneath the little pad there extends that claw, and you're only taking the little hook off the end. You can normally see the pink quick tissue, which obviously you don't want to get to start trimming off, but consider that when you're trimming cats' claws. Both when introducing new cats to the household and the existing cat in the household, there's things like feel away, which is a cat appeasing pheromone that can help to establish the new cat in the household where they think it smells like their own whisker pheromone, so that can help their transition to the household. But also, if the existing cat household members are getting a little bit stressed, you can use feel away either sprays or adapters to help make the transition easier for everyone in the household. Food-wise, it's always good to check with the breeder or the rescue agency that you get your new cat from as to what diet the cat or kitten has been on, and transition over 5-7 days to the diet that you're selecting for them. Look, I'm an advocate of a biologically appropriate raw food diet. Cats go better on raw food or wet diets in general than they do on dry foods, because we never really fully compensate for the water intake when they're getting fed a dry food diet. That being said, a lot of people choose to feed a kibble-based diet. So whatever diet you've got, transition over 5 to 7 days, just introduce an increasing amount of the new diet into their food over a 5 to 7 day period can help transition, help to stop belly upsets. Pretty common as part of the transition period is to have sometimes some little accidents, particularly with wee, but sometimes poo. Using an enzyme-based urine cleaning system can help, rather than adding heavy scented cleaners and bleaches and that sort of thing. A enzyme-based urine cleaner can really help to make that environment, that spot, less likely to be weed on again. But again, using litter trays in all the frequented places and having multiple options is a great idea. Litter tray wise, really important to have as bigger space as possible. Little litter trays aren't what cats want. Fully hooded litter trays really aren't what cats want either. That's to keep odour away from people. I can't really see why cats would like to go into a private hooded area that smells like their own waste, which they really don't like. So big litter trays and multiple offerings is a great idea. Grooming, brushing your cat, super important if you've got a medium to long-haired cat. Cats really prone to getting knots, even short-haired cats. You can reduce the incidence of hairballs with using brushes. You probably need a couple of different brushes to work out what brush suits your cat best. Little rubber fingered ones are good for medium to short-haired cats. You can get the little metal prong wire style brushes. Always start at the head, ask for permission for brushing, and probably don't do it when they're running around and being wild. But basically daily brushing, really important for long-haired cats to avoid knots, and short-haired cats can help to prevent fur balls. You'll have multiple vet visits with your little kitten. It's a good idea to establish what worming medications and flea and tick, if that's important, medications you need to use. A number of different options there. There's palatable tablets like the Milbamax and Milpros. There's top spots like Brevecto, Revolution Plush and Revolution. An advocate that do fleas and intestinal worms and heartworm prevention with the Brevecto and Brevecto Plus, and Revolution Plus doing tick control as well if you need that in your East Coast Australia situation. All in all, enjoy your time wasting period with kittens because they grow up very quickly, and they're great fun to have around if a little bit destructive at times. Thanks guys.